It's now time for Step Back, brought to you by ESPN Bet, the official sportsbook of ESPN. So let's set the playoffs aside just for a moment. Despite only having 3% chance to do so, the Atlanta Hawks, they rocketed up the board to grab the #1 pick in this year's NBA draft, winning the lottery for the first time in franchise history. It's the L. Duncan effect, everybody. The Spurs, they will have 2 picks in the top 10, including #4, as they try to build around Victor Wembanyama here. So here's the latest mock draft. Let's take a look from our draft expert, Jonathan Gavoni. The Hawks, they are mocked to take Alex Sarr with the top pick. The first college player you're going to see projected here is Reed Shepherd of Kentucky. That's to the Rockets at 3, followed by his college teammate, Rob Dillingham, who had one of the best outfits of the draft lottery, to the Spurs at 4. And then the Detroit Pistons will pick at 5 for the second straight year. That is despite having the worst record in the NBA each of the last 2 seasons. I'm sorry, Pistons fans. Let's get into the playoff intensity, though, when we're done with the draft here with ESPN Bet. New users get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. The official sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find exclusive offers from your favorite personalities and ESPN shows throughout the playoffs. You can download today. Speaking of the draft, though, Bronny James has been medically cleared to be drafted by the NBA's fitness to play panel. That's according to our senior insider Adrian Wojnarowski and Jonathan Gavoni. So James, who went into cardiac arrest and had a procedure to repair a congenital heart defect 9 months ago, can now fully participate in this week's pre-draft combine. This is an important step to showcase his talents to NBA front offices and executives. So I do want to bring in our senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, as well as our front office insider Bobby Marks, who are live from the combine in Chicago. Woj, I want to start with you here. Bronny is medically cleared, right, to be drafted, but will he actually go through with this draft?
Look, all indications have been throughout this process that once Bronny James got cleared by the fitness to play panel, which includes a league doctor, a Players Association doctor, and then a third doctor that both sides agree on, and they were unanimous in approving his eligibility here to that he was healthy enough and that there were no issues, that he can play in the NBA, he can be drafted, he can go through this whole week. And once that happened, the expectation was that Bronny James was going to be in the draft. There's not been much, if any, real legwork done on potential portal stops for him.
Okay.
While he was leaving USC, he left that possibility open. But NBA teams have seen a good deal of Bronny James. Go back a year to the Nike Hoop Summit in Portland. I was there, saw him in those practice sessions. It was full of NBA executives. They saw him practice, they saw him play in a game, and he played well there. He looked like a legitimate prospect in his draft class, but he missed 5 months after the heart episode, and certainly that impacted his season. But he's got a chance here, not just at the combine over the next few days. He's scheduled tonight to get out on the court in agility and shooting like dozens of other players have today, but then to do individual workouts with teams. He's got a decent period of time here to show teams his impact. And remember, Bronny James is going to have an impact for organizations, not just on the basketball side, but potentially on the business side. He's almost assuredly going to start in the G League. He will pack G League arenas, merchandising, all of those make him an attractive player, whether it's late first round or second round. So I think certainly his opportunity to play in the NBA is there.
So all of those intangibles, of course, are important. But Bobby, these next couple of days at the NBA Draft Combine are important because we only saw Bronny play in 25 games for USC, had 6 starts when he was there because of everything that Woj laid out. So what does he need to show front office executives over the next couple of days?
Well, I think it starts with certainly shooting, something that he struggled a bit at USC, certainly in a little bit of a dysfunctional situation there. I think what teams are going to see, Malik, is a player that's 15 pounds heavier in a good way than he was at USC. Put on some good, really solid weight. I saw him last week in Los Angeles, shot the ball extremely well in his individual workout. He's going to interview terrific and engaging personality, but I think his calling card, Malika, is going to be on the defensive end. And I think the next couple of days, whether it be in the 5-on-5 workouts, that's the one thing that teams are looking for. How does he stay on the court if his shot is struggling? It will be on the defensive end.
Interesting. So that's going to be something to sort of keep an eye on. I want to bring Austin Kendrick back into the conversation as well. When you look at all of this, Perk, and hear the progress that Bronny James has made, do you think he's ready to make this leap into the NBA?
Well, he has no choice. He's here now, right? And he's here. The decision has been made, and the ball is in his court. Not in LeBron James' court. It's in his court. This is his time, right? This is his time to show the scouts, executives, general managers, whatever you want to call it, coaches, however you want to lay it, that he's NBA ready and why they should take a chance on him. You're going against the best. You're going against the best of the best. And now you have an opportunity to prove yourself. We understand the unfortunate situation that happened before the season at USC. Okay, we understand things didn't go as planned at USC. I believe that Bronny James is going to be a hell of a pro. I think he's going to have a good pro career as a role player. Do not have the expectations of his father, but I do think he has a very high IQ. Bobby harped on it for us, him being able to knock down open shots.
Yeah.
But again, the time starts now.
You mentioned those comps that people are inevitably going to make to his dad, LeBron James. And Austin, you face sort of that unique pressure that comes with being the son of a central NBA figure. I'm not necessarily comparing Doc and LeBron here, but what advice do you have for Bronny as he takes these next steps?
Yeah, he's dealing with something totally different, a different beast. His dad's, arguably the greatest player of all time. For me, I think our initial reaction to this is 50-50, right? You look at his college numbers and you say, okay, well, this guy isn't an NBA player. He only averaged 5 points off the bench. But that's only looking at one side of the fence. You don't look at or take into account that obviously this guy had a traumatizing cardiac arrest issue on the court, and that's something that could traumatize someone mentally from the aspect of him trusting himself, getting out there on the court again. But here's what we do know. We know he's a freak athlete. We know he has basketball IQ. We know he has a history of watching the game closely with one of the highest IQ'd basketball players of all time, his father, LeBron James. He has actually a really nice shot, something that we didn't really get to see a lot of at USC, but I would expect more as we go through this draft process. And then most importantly, he has experience playing with top talent. He played with pros at his high school team in Sierra Canyon. He played with pros on his AAU program, and there's always a big role in both of those teams. I agree with Perk and Woj. I think this is a guy who can come into the league, will have G League experience, get to work his way through, and is a guy that can really be a pest on defense. We're looking at the playoffs right now and how many guys aren't your prototypical player, whether it's a Josh Hart, whether it's a TJ McConnell, these dudes who are having these huge impacts on defense, turning the ball, having that impact. Bronny James is a freak athlete. So for him to be at 6'2", 40-inch vertical, sliding up the floor, defending, being able to hit an open shot, there's definitely a place for him in the league. I just feel like people have to be patient with him and understand his timing and process.
We're going to
I'm excited for him.
Yep. Go ahead.
That's it. That's it right there. That's it right there, Malika. The patience, right? It's not going to be, oh, he gets into the league or get drafted, and the next year we got to watch Bronny James. Like the development, right? The right organization, the right player development. That's going to be huge for Bronny.
Yep.
And Malika, that's Perk just said it. That's a big point. And in my conversations with his agent, Rich Paul, over the last few months, that helping him to get in the right developmental situation is a big part of this. And, I think that's part of why the conversation about the Lakers has made less sense over time. They are a win-now organization. Player development is not their mode right now, but there are any number of organizations where that is really important, who are rebuilding, who are trying to find young players that they can develop and bring in through the organization. And that's going to be a big part of Rich Paul's conversation with teams about where he might land and what kind of a plan they might have for him. It is not about him looking NBA ready today at the NBA Combine.
Yeah.
It's projecting over time in the right system and with probably significant time in the G League to just get him reps and game experience and all the things that come with it. That is the course for a lot of young players in the NBA. And I think it's likely going to be the course for Bronny James if he's going to have an NBA career.
Making sure sort of the infrastructure is there for Bronny James. Gentlemen in Chicago, thank you so very much. We're going to see a whole lot of Bronny James over the next couple of days at the Combine. But you know what I want more of? I want more Bobby. I want more Woj. And we're going to get that in Chicago as the future of the NBA try to solidify their draft position at the Combine. Of course, we talked about Bronny James, but also Alex Sarr, Donovan Clingan, and more participating in 5-on-5 scrimmages. Those are Tuesday and Wednesday on ESPN2 from 1 to 5 o'clock.